like, you got fast expansion, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're on one gate for 10 million years.
That's exactly how long it takes. In the top left, we have Strelok from Team FXO, the Green Terran. And Strelok's just been, It's just very interesting, his approach to opening, because that Cloak Banshee is like, wow, you know, he could do so much damage, but at the same time, you know, he hasn't exactly been targeting the best priority, but nonetheless, his strategic game plan has been very well done.
Yes.
And, you know, now that he has the ball in his court, we'll see if he's got the chops in game number 3 against this player in the bottom right. It is Root TT1 or Root T1.
Rudy 1.
Look at Rudy 1?
Yeah.
Wasn't it going to be Root Payam?
Root Payam Toyam.
Because it was like to give him a new start since his hacking days, instead of a new name. That's what Cass was talking about.
I have no clue. I mean, he hacked like 4 years ago, I think. Maybe even longer than that. I don't know. It was a while ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
It was a very long time ago in StarCraft Brood War, but he kind of cleaned up his name. He got the Artosis head bump, and everything was good after TSL 2. TSL 2, I want to say. But you know, it's interesting. Strelok actually got his reputation in StarCraft 1 as the most timing-oriented player. He had some really wicked pushes involving, you know, factory pushes. He hasn't been known for actually being good at macro, though. That's the one place that he's been severely hindered, in my opinion, throughout, you know, all of StarCraft. TT1 has always been the build chooser winner. Like, he finds the weaknesses within your build, and he will punish you 100%. He's good at macro, but, I mean, I guess who isn't good at macro in StarCraft 2?
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say with Protoss. I was like, I know exactly where you're going with this.
He's good with macro, but I think he does have micro problems personally. Still, TT1 just gives you like the difference in styles, or actually the similarities in styles, as both these players are very build-oriented players. Build order-oriented players.
And I love this from TT1. Talk about build order supremacy. Forge fast expand against a non-gas fast expand from Terran. Very, very good from TT1. And honestly, Tiga Shipyard is a pretty good map to do it on as well, because there's a lot of distance, but also because that third is very readily available as well. If TT1 chooses to do that, that's kind of the threat of TT1. As you know, you can't necessarily tell if he's going to go for 2 base or for his 3 bases. And that's kind of what Strelok has to be careful as well, because he's shown those. But look at this from Strelok. A fast third command center.
I would love TT1 to put like a fast Nexus right now in the top right-hand corner. That would make my day. That would actually make my day. But I love incorporating this. So many Protosses do not check around the map in the early game stages because they're actually scared to. But it's actually one of the most important things. I played a game against Naniwa, I remember, where I had 3, it was an MLG on that terrible map, Test Bug. And I had not 1, not 2, but 3 ninja expansions. I still lost because I went mech. God dang it. That was the worst decision in the world. I had 3 ninja expansions. Still lost. Still lost.
Doesn't
Terrible.
even matter. Now this is a little bit more difficult to TT1 to scout, because it's just so out of the ordinary to expand in that area. But I've been seeing players like Beast Cutie do this in TVP a lot. In fact, I was at the Razor Academy watching him play, and BC will be playing later today as well. But when you do this, you just kind of hide it toward a place where you don't think Protoss will be expanding towards. And it's natural, because you can see TT1, the next place it would take is towards the right side of the map. And from that point, because you're going to want to protect that expansion eventually, you move up from that spot. And so it's just going to be really awkward for TT1 to take kind of like that bottom left, unless something really happens in that right-hand side he needs to protect. Yeah, so Strelok, with that knowledge, is expanding the right area, and I like that.
Doesn't even matter, though. TT1 is doing 2 base all-in with +1.
Oh, man.
That's the only reason why... Well, I'm going to take that back, because it could potentially be something else. But look at that. Oh, my God. Beautiful scan.
Wow, money.
Whoa, whoa, wow. He sees
like,
4 gateways being made right now. That should be the instant tell. Bunker, bunker, bunker.
With no gases, too, on the 3rd and 4th. So he knows he's not teching. He has a lot of units in production. TT1 also placing pylons around the map. On Ohana, you saw the entire map riddled with blue pylons everywhere. That's been a pretty good mark of TT1 as well, making sure you cover every area. Look at this. Strelok is putting up so many bunkers.
Because TT1 actually got scouted here, I think what we're going to see is TT1 warps in the first round of units, but then behind that takes the 3rd base. He is a player that actually reacts to what he knows his opponent knows. So I don't think he will fully commit to this. That will be very folly. And we'll see in a little bit if TT1 and I are on the same wavelength. Come on, TT1.
Well, he does have the sentries and Zell's poking up.
Dude, I'm spot on. Come on, baby.
Are you spot on?
Come on. Yeah, he's just going to pull back.
Well, no. I mean, TT1 really knows he can't, but he sees 4 bunkers. He already has a robo on the way, so he's already been playing transition. He's immediately falling back as well.
Oh, look at this. He makes a photon cannon. Who makes a photon cannon? Someone who's so scared of banshees.
That's true. You know, TT1 is playing by the rules at this point in the game. Now, Srelok, he's kind of playing a little bit off the rules as well, getting a Ghost Academy really quickly. He saw sentries.
Interesting. I do want to say something very quickly. Strelok is doing something very intelligent that a lot of people don't know about ninja expansions. You should always put all the mules on that base.
Mine out as quick as possible.
Mine out as quick as possible. And more importantly, when you are going a ninja expansion like this, go ahead and mine out the mineral patches in particular. So stay on the same mineral patch and make sure they mine out. And that way, if your opponent ever, you know, you go into that macro phase, you know to take the other side rather than that side. So you can easily choose left, bottom left, or top right. You're always going to focus on the top right because you know you mined out of that the most, and they'll have the least mineral patches.
You see 2 ghosts on the way from Strelok. Last night we saw a ghost push from Thorzane against Night End. And that might be the follow push from Strelok. But what's so interesting is that Strelok's been delaying other tech besides Ghost for so long that he hasn't necessarily been able to really you know, get his medevac count that high. You can see that TT1 also getting out his upgrades, double forge upgrades, just like in the previous games. And TT1 at this point will just sit back and macro where he's so comfortable. And if TT1 is allowed to macro for too long off 2 base, it'll be pretty good. But this composition from Strelok is specifically designed to really hit TT1 where it hurts, because TT1 is all dependent on his force fields at this point.
Yes, and something kind of peculiar is the fact that TT1 did go for his blink rather than going for charge. That is kind of weird to do that. I don't think that's the correct move because you are trying to defend against this big push. Although he doesn't know ghost push is coming, so maybe this is the correct decision. Bottom left gets spotted out, by the way, and it will be obviously taken out.
You can see that TT1 is he's kind of paranoid of something. The scan goes off, and if as long as Strelok can hit the EMPs, then everything can change. But keep in mind, this cannon also throws in a weird, interesting thing, because a ghost can't lead in front without taking too much damage. And TT1 also has an observer out into the field. He's going to see the ghost as well. He has to be really cautious. But look at this from TT1. He's also got pylons everywhere, really, to keep sight on whatever Strelok is trying to do. Strelok does back off for now, and TT1 has +2/+2 about to finish. And so Strelok will back off for now, especially since he has no upgrades for himself. That would have been so bad, engaging 0-0 against 2-2.
I really like what Strelok is doing with double starport action. This is exactly what you should always do, in my opinion. When you are so far behind in your composition, you need to actually compensate for the lack of your tech for so long. We're 13 minutes in, and not even a single medevac is out in the field yet. Or at least 2 are. Let me look at the units.
Yeah, two just popped.
So 12 minutes out, and your medevacs aren't out. That's pretty late. Normally, you're pressuring up at 10, 11 minutes. So this is the correct decision. Make sure you can compensate. And you already have the ghosts to add that extra DPS that deal, you know, maybe 200, 300, 400 hit points in just one EMP.
TT1 now has Thermalin's almost done. You can see Strelok finishing up his double engineering bay upgrades as well. And Strelok is going to go up to 4 bases. TT1's still on 2. And TT1's going to have 1 huge max at this rate, but needs to take another base as soon as possible. Now, whether or not Strelok reaches as a third base from TT1, that's complete subjective. The big thing from TT1 is that he's got all of his Stalkers completely isolated from his Zealots and Sentries. A fantastic job this time. TT1 splitting up his army, making sure he doesn't ever get caught out of position.
Look at these
again.
mind games, by the way. These Stalkers all the way on the left-hand side, they're only there to catch some sort of drop. And what he was trying to do is show that, hey, I'm going for a push, and then these Stalkers are over here on the left-hand side readying some sort of defense in case there is that counter where it's like, okay, well, you can't push out with any of your units. And look, he's still doing it. He goes into the center of the map. He's expecting some sort of drop over here. That's why these Stalkers are positioned in the bottom left-hand corner. But now he finally realizes, okay, my opponent doesn't have any units over here. I've zoned out the area. Let me go ahead and assert my advantage in my upgrade.
Oh my God! He picks off one of these ghosts. That's a huge pick off. That's 2 EMPs that Srelok will not have. And a scan to remove the Observer, but TT1 managed to skirt that Observer just out of the way. Now, what's so unfortunate is that TT1, if he spotted this command center with a pylon, he could have evened up the bases, but for all he knows, Strelok is on 3 bases as well. TT1 now gearing up for a potential push. You can see he does have an upgrade advantage 2-2 to just 1-1 with +3 in production. If TT1 strikes, it'd be a great opportune time. Until then, TT1 will just blink into the main, try to do some minor harassment, get some units out of position. But Strelok is not biting. In fact, he's not sending anything. And he's just going to try to say straight up engage.
And it just depends how many Colossus hits get on those Marines. Here you go. The EMPs are starting up here. And the Zealots are actually really slow. They don't have charge. Oh, no. So the Zealots are supposed to be doing so much more damage. TT1 needs to back up from here. My goodness, he has no power behind this army. And if he, oh my God, the attack won't do well.
He doesn't have that much energy on his sentries as well. It can't force field, but you see that the Stalkers are really kicking in at this point. 2-2 hasn't finished for Strelok, and the +1 armor addition for those Zealots allow them to tank so much damage. The Stalkers in the main are still working on the production line. Strelok will be losing everything.
My God.
No reinforcement point. TT1 blinks in forward with the other Zealots and Stalkers. Actually, Zealots can't blink, just the Stalkers. You can see that TT1 is now working on anything that pops out and immediately dies, especially with +3 finishing before +2 armor finishes. A critical time for TT1 to strike, and he absolutely capitalizes on it. And now Strelok is in a lot of trouble. He's going to lose one of his huge points of economy.
Yes.
And that is bad news for our Terran player from FX.
And you know, Strelok had such a huge composition counter to his opponent with those ghosts, with charge not being up and Marines and Marauders in plentiful numbers. But the problem is 2-2. I underestimated the power of that 2-2 against the 1-1, and you saw the benefits right there. Just absolutely slaughtering his opponent for being on 3 base, for even being on 3 base for so long. Now, this should be a little bit of a cue that there's a base in the top left-hand corner. These SUVs just skirting across the map, and he sees it. He's like, oh, okay, there are units over here. He sends a Zealot over. Now, he is upgrading charge. Thank the Lord. My goodness. Drop going to come over here in the 3rd base. It should be cleaned up relatively fast.
Yeah, TT1 has a cannon there, but of course he was doing it just in case of the Banshees. TT1 should be completely okay. You can see the Marines and Marauders really trying to target down, but Srelok can't afford to lose this supply. It's not tradable supply at this point. As you can see that Strelok is backing off immediately. Look at the vision from TT1 as well. It sees almost everything in a complete line. There's just nothing that can pass except for that one small sliver of fog of war. But TT1's pretty much got the entire map on lockdown, and Strelok is running out of options.
Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot say TT1 is a cheesy player from here. It's just absolutely safe. It's not like he's trying to get these, catch his opponent off of a super huge build order win. He's playing well with his units. He's just making sure that he has a big army, and he's trying to take his advantages via micro. The very thing which I was actually saying, TT1's advantage really isn't in micro. I always thought it was in macro. But here we go again. The double drop is going to come over here and run into a couple cannons. No bueno.
Yeah, not good indeed. And you can see that immediately Strelok doesn't have one of those medevacs anymore, and you can see that TT1 also is expanded to his 4th base. TT1's just been slow expanding, but just, again, like you said, focus on the army and making sure to have that stable army before he can expand. +3 armor about to finish for his opponent. Finally, Strelok catching up to TT1 in that department, but Strelok, you can see that he is getting up his 4th expansion as well, but there's no real position for him that he can take. TT1 has all the control in the world.
Exactly right. And I think Strelok actually overmade Vikings here. There's just not enough gateway units. And he's going to pick out the Vikings. I don't think that's actually the right decision. Stalker should go for the Medivacs immediately because they're actually taking out the Zealots so fast. But look at this. The Zealots are going to be enough to actually back up all the units. Now, the Vikings will drop, but yeah, it's definitely those Medivacs that you have to concentrate on. Notice that your opponent is going for too many Vikings and just say, okay, kill my Colossus. I'm going to kill the rest of your important gas units. And then we're going to have just Marines and Marauders with no support against my gateway units. Not bad.
What's also really important is that Strelok is leaning heavily towards Marauders, so you're going to start getting Zealots and Archons as well as Marauders do terribly late game against them. Feedbacks on the Medivacs as well, shutting down Strelok's ability to kite for a very long time. You can see immediately he's backing up, and Strelok is running out of options. TT1's continue pressing in. TT1 really wants his game 3 to end so that he can get the lead. There it is. GG. TT1 takes game number 3 and the 2-1 lead over Strelok in this best of 5, coming 1 game away from claiming his spot in the NASL Season 3 playoffs.
Not bad. TT1, not bad at all. Looking really good all game long. Again, the style of TT1 is something very unique. Having that, it's a composition style. A lot of times you see macro styles, you see micro styles. This is just straight up, I'm going to have a better composition than you because I've been investing my gas into things that go directly into the game time that I want to actually play in. The perfect amount of Stalkers, the perfect amount of Zealots, the perfect amount of Colossus, every single time he's going in there. And he's giving up, economy. He's giving up, well, that's the main thing. He's giving up economy, but he's able to receive everything very easily. You didn't see a single successful drop that game as we did in game number 2. Yeah. Very different styles.
Yeah, and that was a really well done there job by TT1. And we'll move on to game number 4. We want to thank Twitch.tv for partnering us with the stream. You can check them out at Twitch.tv because you're probably watching through that avenue. Thank you so much. But if you ever have an opportunity, thank Twitch.tv for everything they do for esports. I don't know what's going on with my mic, but we'll figure out all those problems. We're still moving along. Game number 4 is coming in just a minute, guys. Between TT1 and Strelok, the winner will advance to the NASL Season 3 playoffs. And that's a very important game. You don't want to miss it. We'll be back in just a second.